Getting your mid-range right is one of the best ways you can make your track connect with people emotionally and sound good wherever it's played. But many producers don't know how to get the best out of this area. Today we're talking about 2 simple ways you can clean up your track to add clarity, dimension, and depth. I think a lot of people discount the power of simple EQ moves because it just sounds a little bit too simple. I think sometimes we think we need complex solutions for complex problems, when in fact much of the time it's the other way around. Do not underestimate the power of a simple 2 to 4 dB cut in some problem areas to really enhance your mid-range. You'll find that a lot of boxiness and mud comes from the sort of 300 Hz to 500 Hz region. Determine what sounds are playing in your mid-range and scan across the elements in your mix to figure out where there's an opportunity to make a duck in this range. If you take out the right amount of space in the right sounds, you'll be surprised how much clarity this can add to your full mid-range. Sometimes even just a high pass filter scooping just high enough to take away that mud but not take away from the essence of your sound is all that you need. But what if you've got the opposite problem? What if your mid-range is sounding a bit too harsh? Use that same technique in the sort of 1500 Hz to 3000 Hz range to cut out some of that harshness where it's not required and give the other elements playing in that area space to breathe. Sounds really simple, I know, but give this a go in your music. You'll be surprised how much these simple changes can clean up your mid-range. Before we move on, these mixing tricks that we're talking about today, they're just a small part of a detailed and repeatable mixdown process that I've been developing. I'm currently in the process of recording and editing a course that goes into this process in detail in a real mixdown that I did for a client. If you'd like help with your mixdowns and you'd like to know when that becomes available, subscribe to my mailing list link below. Now let's talk about the second technique. This one is another simple one, but it's often forgotten. I'm talking about panning and stereo imaging. If you've got 2 or more elements fighting for the same space in the mid-range, chances are you're going to get some masking and some smearing in that area. So use the stereo image to your advantage. It's there for a reason. Simply panning your competing elements into different areas of the stereo image can give you a surprising amount of space for dimension and depth. Now, the more elements you're working with, the more complicated this gets. So use this technique lightly and tastefully. Leverage tools like short, timed delays, reverbs, auto panning effects, and phasing and flanging to uncover that extra stereo space that your mid-range deserves. When you're experimenting with this, just make sure not to overdo it. You can push this technique a little bit too far and actually create your own phasing and masking issues in the stereo image. So make sure you're mixing with your ears and your eyes using a spectrum analyzer in mid-side mode to see how much you can get away with. If you're a producer and you're unsure about your mixdowns, or maybe you have some questions about mastering, contact me on my website linked below for some obligation-free advice or a second opinion. I'm happy to help. That's all for today. Take care and I'll see you next time.